Twins of Reddit, what's your embarrassing story involving your twins partner? I went to a funeral of a friend's father. I had no idea that the deceased had an identical twin. It felt really strange to see the guy in the coffin sat at the front row of the church. There was a fucked up story about the twins in my country. 2 baby girls were swapped in hospital, and one twin came back home with other family. Their daughter stayed with her twin sister. Girls were completely different, but the family thought they are just not identical twins. They found out the truth when all 3 girls were in high schools. The real twins were constantly called differently and strangers would approach them and say hi. They lived in a relatively small town, so finally some common friends organized their meeting. Although they look identical, they are completely different people. One of them likes metal music and wears black clothes. The story didn't end up well. Although they sued the hospital, both families are devastated by the whole story. My ex was once scrolling through FB and said, "You look really hot in this photo." It wasn't me. My dad and uncle are twins. 2/3 times a year they'll show up to dinner or they'll be at each other's houses wearing the exact same outfit, only different brands. At first it was funny, but now we know it just happens. People mix them up all the time. Multiple times a month they're telling people they're not the other. Haha. Acquaintances and work associates have thought they're having an affair. My dad was confronted once and had to explain to the guy, who was a couple drinks in apparently, that he's not his brother. An actual story from when they were kids. They're almost 3 years and share a room with 2 wooden frame twin beds. That Christmas they got a plastic tool chest toy set thing. My grandma says it wasn't more than 3 weeks after Christmas when she goes into their room and the beds are completely taken apart. The head and footboard bolts were removed, the slats were removed and separated. They had no idea how it happened. My grandpa called up the company handyman who put it back together. Couple days later, same exact thing, only my grandparents are pissed now. They got rid of the wood bed frames and got 2 metal cots with the springs, which lasted about a week. My grandma walks into their room and found one of the beds completely taken apart, each spring removed. The twins, though they were working together on the second cot, one of them was grabbing the fabric and pulling it to ease the tension and the other was using the back of the plastic hammer to pry out the spring. They ended up losing tool chest privileges. I'm not the twin, but I was dating a guy on and off for years long distance, and eventually came to find out that the guy I had been on and off dating was fucking his twin brother and his twin brother's wife. I couldn't believe it at first, but then a whole lot of things started to make sense. The more I thought about it, I'd been friends with him a solid 15 years, and in that whole time he never really dated anyone but me. But he spent so much time with his twin brother and even more with his twin brother's wife. We're no longer dating. Not a partner, but a woman was asking my twin if we feel each other's pain. It gets a bit boring being asked the same questions, so I guess he wanted to mix it up. He said no, but he knows when I'm having an orgasm. She said, "Really?" To which he replied, "Yeah, I'm kneeling in front of him when it happens." My grandpa has a twin brother, and they look nearly identical even now in their late 70s. My mom told me that when I was a toddler we were at a family reunion. Apparently my grandpa was holding me and talking to my parents, and then his twin brother walked up to us and my reaction was to say, stunned and wide-eyed, "Two grandpas." I must have been really happy to have not one, but 2 amazing grandpas to interact with. Added missing us. My grandma and her sister were twins. Her sister was going to be a nun, so couldn't be involved in any affairs. Some guy asked the sister out, who sent my grandma in her place, tasked with ending the date poorly. I'd like to say there's a funny ending that the guy is my granddad, but he's not. He's just some random dude. Nice try, porn producers writers. My identical twin brother, my wife, and myself all went to school together and got jobs at the same place after passing boards. Since there are some rules regarding family working together, I was not hired to the same unit as my wife, but my twin was. It was a lot of fun, taking lunches together, etc. But there was one social worker who just couldn't grasp that my brother and wife were not the married ones. She'd compliment me on how cute they were together, comment on social media how great a couple they were, even talk about how much my kids take after their dad, referring to him. It's all benign and we laugh about it, but she really laid it on thick. My husband has an identical twin. When my husband and I got engagement photos done, Facebook automatically tagged my husband's brother in a bunch of our photos, and I posted them without realizing. Not a twin, but I had a pair of teachers at my middle school who were identical twins. They tended to dress similarly and I spent a lot of time confused as to how they could move around the school so quickly until someone told me there were two of them, and that they were twins. This was right before one of them got pregnant though, so I would have figured it out eventually. Saw my identical male twin naked in high school. His wiener is much larger than mine. No homo, but we even compared them once and his was definitely larger. Any other twins have this problem? My twin brother died in a car wreck and my family suggested that I should date his girlfriend because grief, I guess. Real fucking awkward, mom. While we wait for serious replies, how many sets of twins did you guys have at your school? In elementary school, there were 3 sets of twins and 1 set of triplets in my grade. Pretty insane. Edit. I believe my class size was around 100 or so. Mr. Clark, I grew up in a small town where if you were walking down the road and your neighbors were outside, you smiled and waved. For years, I would take walks as a kid, smiled and waved all the time to a dear old gentleman, Mr. Clark. I was sad when I learned he passed away. He was well liked in the community. A couple of weeks after he passed, I went for a walk. As I approached his house, I saw a familiar face. It was Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark was dead. A chill went through me. I felt frozen but yet able to walk. I felt sheer terror. In that second, it was confirmed. Ghosts are real, but no one would believe me, so I kept it to myself. For a couple of weeks, I saw Mr. Clark in his yard a couple of times and I hurried on by his house as fast as I could. That feeling of sheer terror always at the surface. Mr. Ghost Clark was a little off. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. I couldn't take it anymore, so I mentioned Mr. Clark to my bestie's mom who lived 3 houses down from Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark was a twin. The happy twin passed and the curmudgeon Clark was still alive and kicking. I will never forget the feeling of nearly losing my bowels the first time I saw Ghost Clark after he passed. I will also never forget the laughter my friend's mom couldn't hold back when I told her my ghost story. My twin brother went out to pick up some wine and his girlfriend, at the time, came over and thought I was him. She was probably really horny, but without hesitating she began to kiss me and it took me by surprise, to the point where I was frozen in shock. I was about to get her off me, but that was when he walked in. I'm not a twin, but dated one of 2 twin brothers in high school. The other twin also had a girlfriend at the school. One day, someone in my class pulls me aside to nervously tell me he thinks my boyfriend is cheating on me. He was fairly new at the school and didn't know yet there were twins. It gave us all a good laugh when the story got around and the guy was pretty relieved to hear there was no cheating going on. My mom is an identical twin. She and her sister were always dressed alike and hated it, so one year for Halloween my grandpa took my mom costume shopping and my grandma took my aunt. When they got home they were so excited to show each other their costumes. But when they came out of their room they were wearing the same thing. I tried to date this girl from class and we were going out on dates and everything, but out of nowhere she stopped talking to me because her friends saw me with another girl, my twin sister, at the movies and thought I was playing her, but they didn't know I have a twin sister. I fancied a twin in high school and couldn't realize why in one class she spoke to me yet in another didn't know what the fuck I was on about. It took me 4 months and just bumping into them both on the walk home and I literally went, there's two of you. This story is so prime and I'm so excited to tell it. I used to do musicals, like singing dancing musicals. My brother came to a performance and was at the greeting line afterwards. He goes up to the lead actress in the show and says, great job, congrats, what a show, to which she responds, oh I wasn't in the show, actually it was my twin sister. But you were fantastic, to which my twin brother says, I wasn't in the show either. And that's when the actual lead actress and I walk up wondering why they both look so damn confused. I've been laughing about it for years. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Now I can say I've gotten an award for answering wrongly after misreading a prompt, haha. Gold. Edit. Whoa, gold. For the occasion I can admit, the lead actress and I were having a secret affair. Dad's friend is a twin, lives in Chicago. His twin brother lives in Boston. On the same day, both twins fell off a ladder and broke the same leg. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.